Hi, I'm Mary Ellen Slater, Senior Editor of Smart Brief on Workforce, and I'm here with Duane Sider, Director of Learning for Rosetta Stone. Duane, tell me, what are some of the key demographic trends that you're noticing in terms of the workforce right now?
Well, we're seeing demographic changes, especially over the last couple of years, maybe over the last 10 years or so. A couple of things that we're noticing is that employers are increasingly looking for employees who have bilingual skills. That is, skills very often in English, of course, but in a language other than English. But one of the trends that we're seeing with regard to those bilingual skills is that we may be looking a little bit more at international candidates and international employees than sometimes within the United States or North America itself. So certainly the trend is toward employees with multiple language skills, but also looking a little bit more internationally. Now, one of the trends, of course, that's associated with that is that you'll find within, especially the service industry, but other industries as well, is that they're looking at their employees that have what we might call limited English skills, and are realizing that, of course, their native languages are tremendously valuable, the native languages that they bring to the table. So you may have employees who collectively, over perhaps a global operation, may have as many as 50 or 60 different languages that they represent. Providing English language skills for those employees certainly builds value for them within the company, but also represents value not only because they can communicate in English, but also they can bring their skills in their native languages into bear or into play for the company itself. So those are a couple of things that we're seeing specifically with regard to languages.
Why do you feel that HR people need to pay attention to these changes?
Well, it's a great question. That is, why should HR people pay attention to these changing demographics? And I would suggest it's for two reasons. One has to do with retention. That is, providing language programs to the employees that you already have helps you to retain those employees. And especially if you provide incentives for those employees to be able to learn other languages within the company, it not only retains them, but it gives them opportunity and it gives the company opportunities to utilize those skills within the company. Saves costs in rehiring, saves costs in retraining. So that's one of the reasons that I think companies are very well served to be paying attention to these demographics. The other is utilizing the employees that you already have and creating an inviting work environment for them, but it also creates an environment that others want to work in. So it allows you to attract different kind of employees, and that also can be a tremendous cost saving or an efficiency in staffing for corporations.
What is the biggest mistake that you see American companies make when it comes to how they treat their workers who may not speak English as their native language?
I would say that the biggest mistake that I think we see that American corporations make in looking at their workforce, particularly the workforce that has limited English proficiency skills, is simply overlooking them. And what I mean by that is that when we look at those who have limited English proficiency skills, that's what we tend to see. We tend to see that their communication skills in English are limited. You might say that's one side of the coin, and maybe not to make too much of that particular metaphor, but nonetheless we see the cost side of the coin of training those employees in English. The other side of the coin, however, is all of the languages that are represented by that group that may have limited English skills, the native language skills that can provide tremendous benefit, not only benefit in terms of relationships and communication with managers, but actual benefit perhaps as managers if they're given opportunities to explore manager roles once they've mastered limited. Let me just start over and say, I think one of the things that we find out in terms of value for those on the other side of the coin, that is those who have limited English proficiency skills, is that once they have those skills, they can use both sets of skills to benefit the company internally, but externally as well.
Thank you very much, Duane, for taking the time to talk with us. And stay tuned for more great interviews with HR thought leaders live from SHRM's annual conference.